Alright guys, HyDra back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. The season hasn't even started and already there's some roster drama hitting the timeline. Los Angeles Guerrillas, after scrimming for the last few days with what looked like a pretty promising roster, have basically gutted their entire team. A new head coach comes in, completely changes their decision on the direction of the team. Asim is in disbelief on this one. So much reaction to it. Loads of players forced to challenges. What does this mean for the roster chaos we might have this season if it's happened now, just a few days into the game's launch? Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, this from Zinni, actually Dashy moving 2 doors down from him. So this has kind of been a theory about what's going on with Dashy. Where's he going to move to? Especially because, well, he loves it at the Hex quarters, but the Hex quarters is basically over now. So he'll be there at the headquarters in the heart of downtown Dallas with, well, presumably Zinni right next door. So that is pretty cool for the OpTic guys. I guess makes a fair bit of sense. Just wanted to mention another Shotzzy spot here that he found. This is seemingly kind of tricky to get into, but here we are once again on Terminal, where, okay, even Shotzzy takes a few attempts to get this right, but once he does get up here, he manages to hit this little strafe jump over to the top of this banner, I guess, hanging down from the ceiling. So, and then you can kind of go all the way around it as well. Alright, it's probably not massively viable, but you never know when something like this might come in handy, especially in Search and Destroy. So, just another one that Shotzzy's, you know, found out here on this particular map. But we've got to talk about Los Angeles Guerrillas because there's just so much to say on this. The other day we heard the rumors that Diamondcon, Gunless, Asim and Crimp were going to be the Los Angeles Guerrillas team for the start of the season. There were also rumors that they were basically, there's no coaching staff. I don't know who's making the calls, but there were rumors that, yeah, somebody, there's like one staff member and they decided, all right, we're going to do this. They don't seem to have any social media team anymore. It's a complete skeleton operation, but they clearly are being forced in whatever respect, which is good. Like, we do need a 12th team. 11 would be a shambles. And for all that we said, oh, maybe they put the best challenger team in for each event, the reality is that the CDL probably wouldn't do that, or there's various issues with that being the case. So it's better that we just have a 12th team for now until everything, you know, whatever happens in the next 18 months happens. But as JKL says, yes, he'd heard this, but he'd also heard that with LAG being what they are right now, I'm not believing anything until, you know, they load into the server. This knowledge, or this is not set in stone by any means. And this is when we then get this emerging last night as the rotation say, LAG stick together as a team challenge, impossible. Despite the fact they'd actually done not that bad over the last couple of days. I think in scrims, LAG were looking relatively reasonable. Sure, they played FaZe. Maybe this was the mistake. I don't know if it would have mattered in the long run anyway, but you know, they did play quite a few scrim sets against FaZe. Asim got turned on a couple of times. I don't know if that really would have played in anything. It really shouldn't have done, but you know, maybe if they didn't play FaZe and their scrim results looked a bit better, then they might have been kept. I doubt it, because I think the new coach that's coming and apparently made the changes had made his mind up probably before even coming in. But definitely highly controversial this, especially there's going to be so much kind of spotlight on this team going into the new season, especially when you drop players of the caliber as they have done. And then we start getting hit by tweets like this, where as Gunner says, feel like I've been stuck in a nightmare the last 2 years, it keeps on getting worse. And then Asim goes on to say, like, yeah, damn, this is really tough. And Krem basically did a similar tweet as well at the same time. Crazy to see. Asim is, to me, the, like, Gunless, okay, maybe he's not the player that he was before. There's a question on that. Sure, one of the best players, like most talented COD players we've really ever seen, especially to have never won a ring, for example. Great player, Gunless. But ever since the situation where he was unwell, he, you know, had to step out of the Los Angeles Guerrillas as it was then starting team. Spart comes in, they win the event at Major 2. Gunless comes back, was never the same. Then he's eventually been struggling to get back in. I will say, I don't think now is the worst time to be stuck down in challenges. A couple of years ago, I said, yeah, it wasn't great. Now, especially with the promise and the potential of, you know, not exactly a CWL return, but a CWL style return in the next couple of years. Temper certainly looked at it. I think there's a decent chance we go back to having like 16 teams in the relatively near future. So I don't think that it's the worst time to just have to grind it out in challenges and make your name so that when those opportunities do arrive, you get back in. But it's always better to be in the Pro League if you can, and that's clearly what Asim was going for. Again, a player that I would really like to have on my team. I know people say, oh, this guy's overrated, this guy's underrated because the flank stays underrated, and then people say, oh, well, the flank seem to like him so much, he must be overrated, and maybe it's somewhere in the middle at the end of the day. But still, especially at the start of games, Asim has typically been very good. A player that brings a lot of energy, a lot of great mentality, and I don't know, just a really upbeat guy that is really useful to have as part of your team and can be a good player as well. So I'm surprised that they've got rid of him, especially because Diamondcon is the one to say. And it was starting to emerge that the reason why this occurred was because they brought in a new coach who used to coach their academy roster over at Los Angeles Guerrillas, and he had very different ideas in terms of how he wanted the team to be formed. And this is the thing, we were clowning, and maybe Zoo was clowning as well on LAG not having a coach because the rumor was that they weren't going to bother having one at all. So maybe LAG heard that and thought, and to be fair, as I said at the time, they kind of have to because they need somebody, they need 5 players by the contracts to actually sign as a substitute. So you might as well have that 5th substitute player be your coach because it's kind of mandated. So I guess they had to do it, and now they have done, and now he has, well, decided to change direction of the team dramatically. So this is now the new team of 4. So Crimp is gone, Asim is gone, Gunless is gone, and in their place come Assault, Estriel, and Fame. This is pretty, well, there's a lot to say here. So Diamondcon staying in the first place, it's like, of all those players you would keep of the 4, would Diamondcon be the one? Maybe not, but clearly the new coach, Vios, as we'll see here, not exactly sure how that's meant to be pronounced, but we'll get into it in a second, who previously coached the academy team with many of these players, believes he's the man to keep. Now, I like the Assault pickup just because if Arcetes is back in the league this season, as he is, based on last year's performance, Assault deserves it, I would say as well. There's lots of players that deserve a spot in the league, but Assault, I would say, I'd feel kind of bad if Arcetes gets a spot and Assault doesn't, you know, based on their performances on this team last season. And Assault, 2018 World Champion MVP, still a great player, I think. So no problem with that. Diamondcon is the AR duo, I guess. It's pretty slow, I'm not gonna lie. Is this team the fastest team in the world? No. I think they'll have a hard time against some of the faster teams, I'm not going to lie, especially as the season progresses. So Fame is a player that I'm happy is getting signed as well. There's lots of players that it's like, well, you know, they deserve a spot. It's nice for them to get a spot, but also it's at the expense of players that also would be very nice for them to get a spot. But I thought he was good last year on the Minnesota Rocker. For some reason, they brought him in initially as an AR. Once he was on the SMG, he was more impactful. And then Estriel as the 4th. Now, you guys might know this name, or it might ring a bell, and you might think, where do I know that name from? It's because Estriel and Flames, I'm pretty sure those are the kind of a duo. They used to run the Black Ops 4 throwback tournaments. This is like a couple of years ago, we'd do the Black Ops 4 throwbacks, and it would be Estriel and Flames, I'm pretty sure, especially Estriel, that would win those tournaments, be very good in those tournaments. They basically like grinded through that game even when, you know, the newer games are out. So, you know, a player that's been noted and has some promise, but wasn't necessarily on the radar of too many people. So, yeah, Fame comes in to effectively replace, you know, Fame and Estriel replace Crump and Asim. Assault kind of replaces Gunless. Diamondcon remains. A massive change. I mean, look, the game's barely started. The game's out for 5 days. And yet LA Guerrillas have effectively already changed their team. As I say, maybe they shouldn't have scrimmed against FaZe before their contracts were signed and actually locked in. But, yeah, crazy stuff. So gotta share here a couple of clips. Firstly, this from Asim on what happened from his point of view. And as he reveals, the new coach comes in. He decides to change the decision. And also, Enable then goes on to say, which I think was a bit tongue-in-cheek. And we'll get to that in a second because it did cause some drama, that yeah, this new coach doesn't sound like he knows what he's doing.
I saw the news, bro.
Yeah, obviously, let's address the, you know, elephant in the room.
Okay. I mean,
Can't believe that happened. I'm pretty, I've been pretty down bad. It's actually insane. I got the text message as soon as our wager ended. When we were playing wagers earlier.
Yeah, I thought you guys were locked in.
No, they picked up that Vios coach, like, I think last night or like recently, and he just made the team.
Okay, rewind it back. Who the f is VO? Who is that?
Okay, coach our
Vios, he coached the LEG Academy team. So he just made the team. made whatever
Like-
team he wanted.
I'm just trying to understand. Like, I get that between like you guys, a bunch of people, like there's some LAG comfort picks as far as ex teammates, but like, I just would love to know the logic as to why that team got formed.
So them cats were scheming on you, Seam, on God.
I mean, it just honestly, Ben, like this depends what Vios like. You gotta ask him. That's all. It was all his thoughts. I'm pretty sure.
Ian, do you know who Vios is?
Nah, motherfucker sounds like he's dog shit.
Yeah.
They let anybody make moves down, bro. Period. I don't even know what to tell you. They gotta blow that. They gotta blow that team up out the league.
I'm just thinking about all the people that could potentially coach like a pro team.
Never heard of him once. Not once ever.
Saying, like,
Ever.
There's a lot of academy code.
That guy was probably on Wall Street 2 months ago. He don't know shit about none.
So Asim here in a little exclusive that the Stocksman did. I'm still gathering my thoughts. I can't believe they did this. Everything seems stable. From what I saw, the roster we had created had the best chance to win. Then they hired the new coach a couple of days ago, and he decided he was tasked with crafting the best team and decided to go in a different direction. His perspective differed from mine. So this guy's history, just have a quick look here on his COD Gamepedia, for example. Been around quite a few years as a coach. Even we're looking back to, the Cold War season, and he's definitely been noted as one of the best coaches in the Challenger side. No doubt about it. But his decisions are nonetheless they're going to be heavily under scrutiny, to this upcoming season. When you drop players with the championships that, the likes of Asim and Gunless and others have won, and the promise that Kremp showed in the most recent season to effectively, people are going to look at this and say he's picked up his boys, because if you look at the players that he's kind of coached over the last couple of years, you'll see, DiamondCon, you'll see Assault down here on the LA Guerrillas Academy. He also briefly coached this DCM team with Estriel and Flames and DiamondCon. So basically all the guys that he's picked up are guys that he's worked with before, and a lot of the guys that he hasn't, let's say the likes of Real or GodRx, or so, I think maybe GodRx was on there somewhere as well. He also coached that Clayster team a little while ago at the end of the Vanguard season when Clay was not on the New York Subliners. And actually, yeah, you can see GodRx right here when he was kind of coaching the Rocker Academy. So at the end of last season, it was Rocker Academy. Before that, it was the LA Guerrillas Academy. But yeah, so some of those guys, GodRx, Real, that he might have wanted to get, they're now already signed right to the Carolina Royal Ravens. So, it definitely looks like that he's just picked up the kind of boys that he knows that he's coached before. Sure, he knows they've got a lot of promise, but, does he know for sure that that's going to be a better team than the Asim Gunless Kremp team? I don't know. Sure, maybe it's going to work, and I think this guy deserves... Clearly, LA Guerrillas trust him to make a good decision, but it's nonetheless a highly controversial decision, and it's it's tricky for those guys that thought they were going to get back into the league, and now that is no longer the case. So, look, people always talk about Friendship League and stuff like this. If this team doesn't work out, or whether it does, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of controversy as a result, and this I thought was pretty funny. I think this since got deleted, but they were meant to scrim FaZe as their first scrim at 2 p.m. Eastern. FaZe then had to get another team to scrim them instead. But yeah, Assault slept through this apparently. Now, to be fair to Assault, he probably didn't even know what was going on, did he? Let's be honest, because this hit the timeline. Maybe he was just, maybe nobody knew that he was actually on the team until he woke up that day. But yeah, maybe not the greatest first impression to joining your new team. Now, Enable caused a lot of controversy as well on the words that he said on this new head coach. Now, to be fair, Enable then backtracked and said, I just meant it as a joke, which is fair enough. But then he also did tweet this out just before and said, whoever's running LAG management got to explain himself right about now. And yeah, as we saw this clip when he said, yeah, this guy doesn't sound like he's particularly good. So Enable was, and look, sure, you might expect it when people get on very well with the likes of, Asim and those guys, that if a decision is made counter to that, it's going to be controversial, which of course it is going to be. And then we got obviously a lot of discussion between some of the amateur players as, people moronic that people are disrespecting this guy. The guy's been putting in work at the top of the challenges, took that LAG team to being unbeatable at the start of Modern Warfare 2. And Fellow goes on to say he's proven multiple times he deserves an opportunity, discouraging to see people cook someone who's generally done everything right, at least in terms of having a chance. So I guess we'll see whether his decisions on this one are going to be correct. As Clay says, yeah, I think he's messing around. Will has done everything right. As we actually saw, he did coach Clay, and I thought super highly of him of our time on Wit, so he definitely deserves the chance. But, we'll see. If he's cooking up a masterpiece there, then it's going to be pretty spectacular to witness. And then Enable goes on to say, no way people saw this and thought I was actually serious. So yeah, it's controversial to say the least, but regardless, does it matter massively for LAG? That team that they put together was, you know, it was okay, I thought. The Asim, Gunless, Kremp, and DiamondCon team, I didn't think it was going to be good enough to make champs. Is their new team going to be good enough to make champs? I also don't think so. So I'm not really sure in the massive, you know, the grand scheme of things, it makes a massive amount of difference. But yeah, it's definitely controversial and I suppose kind of exciting to see how it goes when the new season actually gets underway. But yeah, if they don't deliver, then, you know, they're going to get cooked. It's just how it is based on a situation like this. Another, well, after the kind of disappointing news for especially Asim and Gunless and co, some positive news to mention here on Mac. We saw not that long ago now, he said that he was taking a step away from competitive Call of Duty to look after his mother, who'd recently been diagnosed with cancer, I believe. So, and basically saying that, well, when she's getting better and recovering, then he'll look to return, which is not happening. So that's hopefully a really positive sign for what's going on behind the scenes there. But he was meant to be on the Vegas Legion, but unfortunately for Mac, that's, you know, that opportunity, that ship is now sails. So he's going to be in challenges, I believe, with Phantoms. So he's going to play again, which is definitely nice to see. But very much interested to your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.